What is up, guys? In this video we're going to see some examples of derivatives of e to the x, because this starts to get confusing pretty quickly. So the first example is ex. So what's the derivative of ex? Well, in this one the derivative is ex. The point that I want to emphasize here is that the first thing that we are doing we are taking care of the derivative of the exponent. So in this specific case, when people say it's e to the x, like left and right, in reality is 1 times e to the x, because this one, the derivative of this one, as you know, it in terms of x is 1. So if we further expand this line of thought, let's say we want to know the derivative of e to the 2x, so it's the same thing. So the first thing, you take care of the first member, so it's 2x. What's the derivative of this? It's 2. And then you have the 2 in front of e to the x, so the answer is 2e to the 2x. Okay, so if we keep expanding on this idea, so let's say I ask you for the derivative of e to the 4x, it's the same thing. So the first thing, we take care of the exponent, so it's 4, and then we have the same thing like the initial expression. So all we're doing here is taking this one out, the derivative of this one in terms of x, get it down here, and then you have the second part of the expression the same. So let's say we have another one, let's say it's e to the 8x. It's the same thing. So first things first, take care of the exponent, which is 8, and then the rest remains the same. Okay, so let's say now you are asked to find the derivative of this one. Like we have seen before in previous videos, I like when I see square roots to take care of this in a different way. So let's approach the square root first. So in reality what we have is this. And in order to find the derivative, the process is the same. So the half comes out, and then we have x, and then it's 1 minus. So what this means is this is 1.5 minus 1. And if we change the terms, we have 1.5, 1/2 minus 2 minus 2. So this is 1/2, and then x minus 1.5. And as we've seen before in previous videos, whenever we have a negative here, this means that this whole term comes down. So in reality what we have is 1 divided by 2, and then the square root of x. Because same thing as here, we have the square root, which in reality is x to the first power, and the square root is 2. So it's 1 divided by 2. And since here we have it in a negative form, so it comes down as a square root, but in the denominator. So when going back to finding the derivative of e to the square root of x, our final answer is the whole thing came down to this form, and then we have the first term that we don't change. So this is your final answer. Let's look at another example. Let's say now we have this one. So we have x to the third power, and we have a square root outside. How do we solve this one? This is the same process. So you take care of this one first. So all we are doing here is changing this, taking care of the square root and having it in this form. And the way to solve the derivative is take the first term in front, then you have x, and then you subtract 1. So 3 divided by 2 minus 1, it's like this. So 3f, then x, 1.5. And we know that 1.5, in reality, what we have is the square root of x. So our final answer is all this term comes in front. So we have 3 divided by 2 square root of x, and then the rest we leave it as is. What about this one? So let's say now we are asked to find this one. So same thing. You start with the exponent, get it down, and take care of its derivative. So this is x, 4 divided by 8. And then what you do is get the exponent in front, and then take 1 out of this one. So 1, so 8, 8. And then this is 4, 8. X, 4 minus 8 is minus 4 divided by 8. If you can even further simplify this a bit, you'll end up with, so 4 divided by 8, this is just 1/2, and then x to minus 1/2. And as we've seen, minus 1/2 is the same thing as having 1 divided by 2. And then at the bottom, we're going to have square root of x. So we're going to take this whole term, get it down, and our final answer is 1 divided by 2 square root of x, e, and then x for 8. Or even if we wanted to simplify this a little bit, we have the same thing, but then because we have 8, 4, so in reality, what we really have is square root of x. I hope that helps.